here's a quote. I love this, and I really want to talk about this. And this is not to exclude any men in the room. The way to succeed in a man's world is to stand out like a woman.
Yes.
I want a t-shirt made up of that.
Ooh, I like that idea.
I think we should do that. Let's start a little business. Talk about that.
Well, I think too many of us have believed, especially in my generation, that in order to succeed, you had to echo behavior of guys, which doesn't work for a woman because we're very different. And I think we often don't give ourselves enough credit for what literally are part of our chromosomal behavior of collaboration, caring, empathy, caretaker. And all of these strengths and all of these traits help us be great leaders. We collaborate, we create teams, we know we have to get people to help, and I don't think we embrace what we are so capable of doing that is natural and organic, that we also tend to listen. We hear better because as caretakers, we've had to, whether you're juggling your kids or your life and work or parents that are aging, you're constantly listening, juggling to what's going on and have to respond. So if we paid a little bit more attention, doesn't mean that you're negate the other stuff that you need to navigate the work world, but the XX factor is incredibly important in terms of navigating the world as a female. And I think the empathy we have for others, for those who work with us, those who work for us, and even those who work above us, are something that we don't give ourselves enough credit for.
Right. Yeah. So don't hide who you are. No. Be who you are.
Be who you are. Yeah. Embrace it. Don't try to be anybody else. And it also goes for your own image. Really embrace your own presence. You don't have to echo what somebody else is doing in that workplace. Know what works for you. Know what's authentic for you, but let it be your best you. Just people are going to make a judgment about who and what you are. Just be your best self. And empathy and listening goes far.
Right. Yeah. That is, there was, you talk about female companies in the book, and I found this fascinating. Female companies tend to outperform those led by men. Now, I just want to read what you wrote, because I did not know this. Female companies tend to outperform those led by men and fare better in crisis, while employees with female managers tend to feel happier at work.
It goes to the XX factor. Collaboration.
Oh, let's talk about the XX factor.
Back, so,
you need to explain that before. We haven't talked about the XX factor.
Okay.
Sorry,
well, that's part of the caring, the empathy, the collaboration, et cetera. And I think the success in many of the women's companies are due to the collaboration that women are, it's organic to our nature to work with others and figure out how to make things happen. We are more protective of one another. We are detail-oriented in ways that I think women tend to be on the job or a little bit more perfectionists. So I don't have all the specifics behind that research, but when you dig deep into it, it is collaboration on the job that really does the trick.
Yeah, to that point, it's, so, we're told not to play at work, right? And you have a chapter in the book about actually that's a myth, because going out for celebrating your successes with each other in the workplace, why is that a bad thing? And you talk about the energy, that it can be toxic if you're just going in, and how today more and more places of work, people are finding themselves lonely. and friendless and isolated. So talk about the other rule, that we're supposed to not mix work with pleasure, and why that actually can backfire.
It's funny. In writing this thing, I was very, very careful, pleasure versus play. Because right now in work settings, how you define what pleasure means,
Right.
with HR apartments can be a
Right.
little sticky.
So you have to be careful.
Yeah. But having fun at work creates relationships,
Right.
creates trusts. When people are happy at work, they want to come back, they want to stay, they want to be part of a team. And I think what has happened is telling people they shouldn't have too much fun, telling people they shouldn't go out after work for a drink together because, heaven forbid, somebody touches your shoulder in a nice, completely safe way. It can be dangerous. It really hurts performance on the job because you're not forming relationships. When you form relationships, you trust your colleagues. If somebody needs help, you could read their face and you understand they're not having a good day. Let me reach out and help them. It creates a bond that you can't replace when you're either working full-time hybrid or when you show up part-time. Like any relationship, when you're with people and you're working together and they start trusting you, everything just gets better.
Right. It's a team.
It's a team.
Yeah.
It's a team.
There's no I in team.
No. And it's very, very true. And we would do things. We had the Hamme games in Los Angeles where everybody would get together in the early summer and just play volleyball on the beach. And every April, it was the last week before Rock Center ice skating rink closed down. I would do a brunch with my entire cable team and try to push everybody on the ice. And we would literally have breakfast, go ice skating together. Even if people couldn't skate, they would go along holding the edge of the ring, and hugging one another. And it just created such a warm environment that everybody just got to know each other better, saw their vulnerabilities in a good way, and became friends. And I am so fortunate. I think there are a bunch of my former team out here. We've been together for decades because we developed friendship and bond. It never took away from the job. It didn't diminish their capability or their incredible work ethic. In fact, it did the opposite.
Yeah, it gave them incentive, probably.
Exactly. I wouldn't give that up for the world, and it's a piece of advice any young leader should encourage people getting to know one another, creating fun, not demanding that, okay, we're all going to party tonight at 9, just having that door open so people can really engage with one another and learn about each other.
Joy.
Pure joy. You're right.
Joy. Mm-hmm. Because I think when you hear the word work, it sounds like, ugh.
Yeah.
So when you go to work because it's a joyful place to be, the work's going to be better.
Yeah. And we would I got criticized a couple of times. There was a point where a couple of the people in management, upper management, thought that the cable group, because we were together for so long, was a cult. And I said, you're just missing it by 3 letters. It's a culture.
Right.
Because we would work on a presentation late at night, and of course, we'd be bringing pizza and wine.
Right.
And people would stay later, and we got it done. There was one presentation. I remember we were going to have a hard time getting money from our CEO and the head of finance, so we went in with basically football helmets into a meeting because we know we were going to get pushed back.
You were going to butt heads?
Yes. So just those things can happen if you're not with a group of people who trust you that they're not going to get fired by walking into a meeting that way.
And
it worked.
And
we
it
got
worked.
the money.
Well, there you
we
go.
got the money.